Hello, everyone. This is Ted Check, Public Relations Manager for the International Foundation for Protection Officers. I'm here with Tim Fairman. Tim is the Security Training Director for Switch, which is it's a company that has data centers across the United States, and from big to small, they hold servers for companies. And so Tim is, as I said, the Security Training Director for that massive company. Tim, you also are now the Secretary and Treasurer for the IFPO. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So yeah, we had the news release earlier this week, and so we wanted to introduce you to all of our members and the security community at large, because Tim, you've had a long you've had a long career in security with lots of accolades and everything. So I wanted to take you back to when you started and ask you why you got involved in security in the first place. What motivated you to do that?
Well, it started really with an interest in law enforcement back when I was in college, right? And went to Fair State University in criminal justice. Got my degree, my bachelor's in criminal justice. And while I was going there, I worked security. That was really my first security job, so to speak. Worked for a company, Fair State's in Michigan. That's where I grew up. So worked for a company there called Bilmar Foods. And while I was going to college, and from there, went into law enforcement. Was in law enforcement for about 8.5 years in Milwaukee, and decided, at that point that I wanted to get into the private industry. And so I got back into security with a company called IPC International. They don't really exist anymore, but it was contract security for shopping centers is pretty much what we did, 99% of what we did. And so I was in that industry for, with IPC, and then with Andrews International for 12, 13 years, give or take. And then I had the opportunity to come to Switch after that, and now I've been with Switch. It'll be 9 years in May.
Great.
Actually came here as an officer. That's pretty much what we do here. We hire folks in as officers, and then proved myself, like you have to do wherever you go, and kind of moved up the ranks, became a supervisor after about 6 months when we opened a new building, and then progressed to training manager a couple years later. And now I've been the director of training for security for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I think. So.
That's great. So yeah, Tim, when I looked at your resume, I saw that you've held several jobs and in several parts of the country, which I don't know. I found that interesting, and some folks, they just kind of stay in their hometown and they really don't move around the country very much. But you did quite the opposite. And was that by design, because you were just seeking better opportunities, and you said, well, I'm in, say for example, I'm in Michigan, but I want to go to Florida, and that's got a better offer, so I'm going to pick up and go. Was that kind of how it worked out?
Yeah, it was the opportunities, a bigger challenge, was part of it. Part of it was, like you said, I'm from Michigan. I grew up in the Midwest. Most of it, moving around actually was with IPC, where there's 10 years. So the opportunities, and then honestly, the first move from Minnesota down to Texas was to get out of the cold. Quite frankly. So, and then from there, bouncing around a bit, I went to Florida, and then came to Las Vegas, and then back to Florida. and then the company more or less, well, they filed bankruptcy back in 2007, 2008, with the economy downturn. And
Right.
so I found myself back out here in Las Vegas, and got on with Andrews International, uh, director of security at one of the properties on the Strip for shopping center at the Grand Canal shops and the shops at the Palazzo. So came back here and did that for a couple of years, and then moved over to Switch. So yeah.
And Tim, is that something that you would advocate for folks who are involved in the security industry, especially if they want to climb the ladder and maybe where they are, they just can't go any further. If they can pick up and go, is that something that you would tell them, encourage them to do?
Absolutely. Besides the challenges and the opportunity, it was a good experience to go to different cities, different parts of the country. My wife enjoyed it too, because every time we move somewhere, she's like, "Okay, now I get to go explore again and
Oh,
find
that's
new
great.
things and different things." So it it really adds to your character, meeting new people and different places. Like when I went to Florida the first time, it was down in Miami, and there's a very big Latin community down there,
Right.
which I had a little exposure to in the Midwest, but nothing like Miami. And that it enriches your life, quite frankly. You know, Getting involved in that community and meeting those people, and uh, them accepting you in, and it's a really good experience, going different places and meeting new people. So yeah, I would certainly tell people that if they can make the move, it's a good idea to explore the country, and also have a challenging job at the same time.
And you held several positions. I mean, you started off as a rank and file security officer, but you climbed the ranks and you were I believe a supervisor, manager, that type of thing. But then, like you said, at Switch, you kind of had to start at the bottom again. Was that tough to do for you?
um it was probably the hardest thing was, after being in management, and being involved in products, or excuse me, not products, but projects, and developing training and assisting other officers and things like that. Going back to the officer role was a little difficult at first, because it was, not that the job isn't important. I mean, it's extremely important, but just changing that mindset from being in a leadership role back to the rank and file, and doing the patrols and things like that. It was a little difficult at first, but sometimes in life you have to take a couple steps back to move forward.
Hmm.
And that's kind of how I looked at it, because I had a goal, and I knew, eventually, through my hard work, and what the skills that I could provide to Switch, that eventually I would get to where I am today. So
Yeah, and I got onto the Switch website, and I watched a video. These are like absolutely huge buildings, as far as I can tell. Really,
yeah.
really big buildings, and very important. I mean, they're housing servers for big companies, small companies. So it's all very, very important stuff. And just as an aside, it's amazing to me that although we've got all this technology and all the cloud stuff, we still need the hardware. You still need the brick and mortar stuff. You can't totally survive on just the internet and the cloud. But so you've got these massive buildings, and so you you're in charge of training the guys that are securing these buildings. Is that right? I mean,
That is correct. Yes.
so tell us what does that include? Like what types of skills do these men and women have to have?
Well, like any other security, uh, physical security, securing the properties, access control, CCTV cameras, all that. The honestly though, the biggest thing, and obviously it's important, especially today, is customer service. Um, customer service nowadays with goes hand in hand with security. If your guys, guys and gals don't know how to interact and talk with people, with your customers, that can be a real problem, right? It can't be you know uh, stern and stiff security,
Right.
if you know what I'm saying. It can't be that military, this is the way it is and that's the way it is, right?
Hmm.
And a majority of our guys are either former military or law enforcement. So um, sometimes, especially when they're right out of the military, it takes a little bit of molding,
Yeah.
and letting them know that, hey, it's we appreciate your service and what you did, but it's a little different out here in the civilian world. You can't just give people orders and expect them to jump. You know what I mean?
Right.
So customer service is a big thing that I when I got into the training role, that I put an emphasis on that, because I saw that um, we needed a little bit more of that here, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's worked out really well. We get our sales team gets emails from our customers all the time, thanking security. Oh, they, went over and above and helped, my tech out. And so I think it's helped our department,
Great.
uh, a lot. So, um, so all the normal things you think with security, but then again, customer service, I think is really important, especially here at Switch, because we are security. Really, we are the face of the company. With as secure as our data centers are, most of the people that come in here, um, really all the interaction they have is with security. So it's important to have that good customer service. So.
And do you have kind of a steady flow of people that are wanting to gain access, to um, either service the servers or for whatever reason, representatives of the company? Do you kind of have that steady flow?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Every day, and we have several buildings, so some are a little busier than others, as you can imagine, especially the newer buildings that we open. Because new customers moving in their gear and what have you. And besides the customers, ever since I started with Switch, we've been building. We're always under construction,
Wow.
building new buildings. Um, so it's not only dealing with the customers, but the contractors, the construction folks. So it's ongoing. We're busy. You know what I mean? We're not just posted somewhere, standing, watching the grass grow, so to speak, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha.
Our guys are very involved. So,
And do they have to have there is everybody armed
uh,
there?
no, we're not armed. My officers carry handcuffs, taser, and OC pepper spray. And again, I oversee and do all the training with that. Um, we train with firearms. We have firearms available
Uh,
in case we have a really bad day. You know, uh, i.e. the zombie apocalypse, which, people talk about and laugh about, but um,
hey, everybody's got to be prepared for that.
absolutely. But obviously we hope that day never comes, but we are prepared for it in case it does. We do. you know, in the old days, they called it like SWAT training, right?
Mhm.
Or nowadays it's special response team or SRT training.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do that training as well. So in case we have a really bad day, like an active shooter situation or something like that, we are prepared to respond to it, and not just wait for law enforcement to arrive. So, yeah.
Gotcha. So Tim, I'm curious to know, how did you become aware of the IFPO? How did you find out about us?
Well, I knew of the IFPO years ago, when I was working with IPC. You know, I knew it was out there. Um, when I was in the mall, you know, shopping center security, uh, the, uh, the, the folks I work with, we didn't really use it. We kind of had our own training and what have you, but I knew of it, you know, and I looked at it, you know, on the website and different things, and tried to garner, you know, as much information as I could, and um, you know, incorporated some of their ideas in the training that I did. Um, you know, and then when I came to switch, uh, we have our officers take it. Really, it's at the supervisor level. Once they get to the supervisor level, we'll have them go through the certified protection officer course.
Okay.
And so, you know, obviously being in charge of training, I was involved in that, and saw the importance of it. I find when, you know, our new supervisors, you know, that's when we try and give it to them when they go from officer to supervisor. Um, Once they get through the program, and pass the test, you know, and become certified, you can see a growth there. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's great.
Better understanding, you know, of, not just security and security related things, but more of, kind of a business sense too,
Mm.
which is really important in security nowadays, especially as you move up the rank. You know, you really need to know, um, you know, what the business is that you're providing security for, what that business does, and what your role is in helping the business succeed. So, um, yeah, I mean, since I came to Switch, I've been involved with it. So, you know, that's, well, in May it'll be 9 years, I believe. So,
Mhm.
um, uh, a really good program, and uh, you know, I just thought that it would be a great organization to to have the opportunity to interact with, and help, you know, stay at the forefront of training and learning opportunities for the security officers out there, that may not have, the what am I looking for? Uh, the availability, or the tools, or the opportunity to get training through the organization they work for, where this is, you know, something that they can do on their own, or, you know, the company can provide it for them without, you know, like their own training program or what have you. So, you know, I feel, grateful that I have the opportunity to be involved in that, and hopefully, you know, like I said, stay at the forefront, and provide the best training for officers that might not have the training that they need, quite honestly.
Well, I think we're lucky to have you, Tim. You know, because of your position, because of your experience, and also the company that you work for, such a big company, such an important one. I think we're lucky to have you. You know, we have representatives. We have professors that are involved with the IFPO. You know, folks who have achieved their PhDs. We have retired federal people. So I think this just kind of adds to the well-rounded quality that the board reflects, within the security industry. That we now have you here.
Well, thanks. Ted, I appreciate that. I hope that I can bring something to the table and be part of that machine to and improve the quality of the security officers out there. In whatever business or endeavor that they're working in. So.
Great. And another thing I wanted to ask you, Tim, is say you have somebody who is interested in security, but they've never, they haven't held a job in security yet. So they're kind of a prospective security officer. What advice would you give to them, to kind of help them along?
Well, if they have an interest, it's like anything else. I mean, the IFPO is a great website for information. ASIS International, obviously. One of the other bigger organizations out there. There are several in Europe as well. If they're in Europe, if you're in a country where there isn't maybe an organization like the ones I mentioned, if they have internet access, obviously Google is a great tool.
Right.
Google, security industry, right? And you'll get all kinds of information. But beyond that, I would say, if you have the interest, jump in, find whatever kind of security work you can get, even if it's volunteer, for your church or something like that. There are opportunities out there, and you have to obviously get the experience in order to make yourself a good candidate for that job that you really do want. So sometimes that means volunteering your time.
Right. That becomes a dilemma. It's like, certain jobs ask for experience, and it's like, well, how do I get experience if nobody takes a chance on me to give me the experience? So yeah, kind of to your point that maybe just starting off volunteering or starting off just right on the ground level, and going from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When I started working security in college, and had that interest, going for criminal justice and law enforcement, the college would have events and things, and they brought, I think it was for homecoming, they brought in Eddie Money in concert to sing, on the football field, right?
Yeah.
And so they were looking for volunteers to provide security, right? And at the time, I belonged to the weightlifting club there, right? And so they reached out to us, bigger guys, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so I said, yeah, why not? And volunteered my time, and got to be, doing security, but you're right there by the stage. You're kind of front row. You get to kind of take a couple glimpses, and see the concert, but obviously paying more attention to the crowd and things like that. So there are, you're volunteering your time, but there are perks to that as well. Getting to meet celebrities like that, because we got to meet them, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I would say just jump in, take a chance. Like I said, any organization you may belong to, if they're holding an event or something, normally, any events you have nowadays are gonna need security. It's just, the way it is, the way of the world now, right?
Yeah.
So, volunteer your time, build your experience, your credibility, and obviously build your resume, right? Something you can
That's
put
right.
on your resume so you can get that job that you're looking for, right?
Absolutely. That's some sound advice right there, Tim. Great. Yeah, and the only other thing I want to talk about was, I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, is presenting a positive image of the security officer. That seems to be one of the greatest challenges that we face in the industry today. How do we get away from Paul Blart Mall Cop? That whole, the rent a cop, all of those negative stereotypes. What are your thoughts on that? How do we create a more positive image of the modern day security officer?
Well, I watched Mall Cop. I'm sure like a lot of other people in security industry have, and it was a funny movie or whatever. But we don't want the the world at large to think that's what security is, right?
Right.
And Hollywood sometimes does a disservice to a lot of different industries, not just security. But that being said, bringing professionalism to the industry, which I think I know the IFPO does, right, with their training programs. Not only the certified protection officer, but the other programs that they offer, and not only that, the education that we offer. It's not just the certification programs. There's a lot of information on the website that you can access for free, right? ASIS again, when you move up the line, or you can go on there and obtain a lot of information to give you that career path, so to speak. And it's two really good organizations. There are other ones out there, but bringing that professionalism and honestly, it's the officer taking pride in what they do as well.
Yeah.
If you want to be successful in any industry, you have to take pride in what you do. And you take every opportunity you can to gain experience and gain knowledge, and be that professional. Take pride in what you do. Most frontline security, they're in some type of a uniform, right? So the appearance right there is important, right? Make sure that you look good every time you come to work. That your uniform's pressed, your boots or shoes look good. They have a little shine on them, right? And you're not wearing pants that are too short, or flood as we call them back in the Midwest, right?
Right.
That everything's proper and it looks good, and that's important because first impressions matter, right? Especially in security, like like I said here at Switch, but I'm sure a lot of other companies are that way. The people that come to the business, the first people typically they see is security.
Right.
And other companies, I'm sure they're the face of the company as well, and that may be the only interaction they have is with security, right? So it's important. Those first impressions matter. Whether right or wrong, unfortunately, us as humans, we judge people basically in the first 5 seconds when we meet them and see them. It's just,
Yeah.
it's what we do. So looking good, playing the part, being professional, being courteous, that customer service aspect I talked about
Right.
is extremely important. So.
Gotcha. Well, Tim, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And I wish you luck. I want to say congratulations and wish you luck as Secretary and Treasurer of the IFPO Board of Directors. So yeah, thanks. Really appreciate it.
Well, thanks again, Ted. I really appreciate it, and look forward to working with everybody on the board and with you as well in the future. So.
Sounds great. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks, Ted.